In recent years, Datalink weather in the cockpit has become an indispensable tool for many GA pilots. It's also played a role in the historic decline in weather accidents over the past decade. And we here at the Air Safety Institute consider equipping with Datalink weather one of the most effective and cost-efficient ways to make your flying safer. Before we get into the details, though, a quick note. The 2020 ADS-B mandate does not require you to use ADS-B weather. You're free to go without Datalink weather or to choose either or both of the two weather providers. Option 1 is the FAA's ADS-B system. The weather component of that system, known as FIS-B, is broadcast by ground-based stations scattered across the country. The alternative is a commercial weather service provided by SiriusXM. Unlike FIS-B, their weather data is broadcast by satellites. There are a number of similarities between the two systems, but also several key differences. Let's compare and contrast to help you decide which is best for you. The most obvious difference between ADS-B and SiriusXM is the means of delivery. While satellite versus ground station broadcasting may sound like a minor detail, in some situations it can have significant consequences. The reason is line-of-sight restrictions between aircraft and ground-based stations.
For example, if you were flying along and let's say you're flying under a cloud deck, and that cloud deck is maybe at 3,000 feet and you're flying along at 2,000 feet, depending on the makeup of the terrain and where the towers are, you may be out of FIS-B coverage. Whereas with a satellite-based product, unless you're flying under trees, which we don't typically do in airplanes, you will always have coverage.
Another area where satellite-based SiriusXM differs from ADS-B is access from the ground.
Unless there's a tower right on the field, you're going to have an incomplete picture until you get to the point of about maybe pattern altitude or so. And then you'll start receiving weather, and it may take 5, 10, 15 minutes to get a complete set of weather at that point.
The ground-based ADS-B system has other limitations as well. Due to bandwidth issues, towers broadcast a more limited set of information based on the aircraft's location and altitude.
There is what's called look-ahead ranges with FIS-B. And a look-ahead range means that not all information from certain airports may be delivered based on your distance from that airport or the distance from that tower to that airport.
It's also worth noting that ADS-B service is based in the U.S., with some residual coverage near the borders, while SiriusXM coverage extends over most of Canada and Mexico. Both SiriusXM and ADS-B provide a basic set of weather products: radar, satellite, text, and so forth. However, there are some differences in how they're presented, and SiriusXM offers several supplementary features not available through ADS-B. For most pilots, the most commonly used Datalink product is NEXRAD radar. Here, the main difference between the two systems is not content so much as resolution, due to the ADS-B look-ahead issue we just talked about.
The ADS-B regional radar is about the same resolution as you get with SiriusXM. However, ADS-B only has a 250 or so mile depiction of that regional radar. Once you get beyond that, you get a national radar image, which is not very high resolution at all. 250 nautical miles, especially in a faster airplane, things can happen very quickly. And you want to assess as soon as possible what's happening at your destination.
Both systems broadcast composite reflectivity radar images, which are excellent for showing the potential strength of a storm. SiriusXM also includes base reflectivity radar, which can give pilots a more accurate view of low-level precipitation.
It is the lowest elevation angle of the radar, and as a result of that, it's going to really be more representative of what's falling out of the bottom of the cloud. So if you're flying around at 10,000 feet and below, it's going to be more pertinent to you. It's going to give you a clearer, crisp picture of the true threats that are out there.
Used along composite reflectivity, it can also be helpful for gauging the state of a storm's development.
So when you look at the base, so the lowest elevation angle, In many cases, if you're seeing that that's really representing a different picture than what you see in composite, it likely means you're in a situation where that precipitation core is eventually going to let go. And if you happen to be in an area in the base reflectivity where it's showing just maybe some light green, but the composite is showing much, much more intense echoes, that's an area you want to stay away from.
To further bolster the pilot's grasp of convective weather situations, SiriusXM also includes lightning strike data, both cloud to cloud and cloud to ground.
So anytime you see lightning depicted in any situation, that's a convective system. I like lightning because it really lets me know where the really nasty, truly nasty weather is out there.
In addition, SiriusXM storm tracks show the direction and speed of cells, while storm attributes provide information that can make it easier to diagnose the severity of the weather.
Those storm attributes also come with an ecotop height. So it tells you what the height of that particular storm is. It might be 450, which means 45,000 feet, which gives you a good indication. The higher the storm, generally the more severe it is.
None of this is available with ADS-B, though in some cases, motion and speed can be gleaned in a different way.
A lot of the vendors that you will display ADS-B weather or satellite-based weather, you can actually loop the last 5 or 10 radar mosaics and also get a sense of movement as well.
Whichever provider you use, it's critical to check timestamps and allow for data latency around any fast-developing weather.
The best you may have is somewhere around 5 minutes when it's first refreshed on your screen. And then you stare at that image for an additional another 5 minutes, so you're talking about 10 minutes old.
Some of these storms grow at 5,000 feet per minute or greater and strengthen in that period of time, so that by the time you get there going 150 knots, 160 knots, whatever you're doing, it's grown to an extent that it affects your route.
Remember that radar can't show everything that might pose a danger to your flight. Using different Datalink products together, and in addition, taking advantage of ATC radar, will help you get a more complete picture of the weather situation. Both ADS-B and SiriusXM provide text weather products, including METARs, TAFs, AirMets, SIGMETs, and PIREPs. Winds aloft data can also be very helpful.
Using both the ADS-B and the SiriusXM data to optimize my forward progress. Fuel economy certainly goes hand in hand with efficient flight management.
In addition to these, SiriusXM will display freezing levels, cloud and echo tops, graphical turbulence information, and other products not included with ADS-B.
They give you information on winds and temperatures aloft, including the freezing levels. And that's important because obviously freezing levels are important from an icing perspective. It's like the American Express that says don't leave home without it. I always tell pilots don't leave without knowing the freezing level.
One area where ADS-B has the upper hand is in NOTAMs and special use airspace status, though both systems do include TFR data.
I think without question, after maybe GPS, the availability of having weather in the cockpit is probably the biggest safety advancement we've had in modern general aviation.
I truly believe my aircraft has become more useful, and I will actually go on more flights that may have been canceled before, just for that comfort level of having onboard weather.
If you don't have Datalink weather these days, I mean, you really owe it to yourself to get it. Otherwise, you're basically flying blind.
The hardware, installation, and app options for actually displaying weather in the cockpit are too numerous to mention here. Suffice it to say that either system will have an initial setup cost. Given that, for some, a dual system approach will make the most sense.
Having both products is certainly a form of backup. And I try to back up every system in my airplane that I have. So that's one of the reasons I keep both products. I keep SiriusXM and FIS-B.
Dual receiver devices like Garmin's GDL52 can pull in both SiriusXM and ADS-B. All of which brings us to price. ADS-B is free once you're equipped to receive it. SiriusXM requires a monthly subscription with a variety of packages at different price points ranging from $30 to $100 a month.
Yeah, SiriusXM does allow you to suspend their service for up to 6 months during the year. So if you're living in an area where you're not flying during the winter months or you're having some long-term maintenance done to your aircraft, you don't have to pay that month to month.
If you're in the market for a cockpit weather setup, we hope this has made your decision a little easier. The choice can be difficult, but in the end, it's what works best for you. How much flying around weather do you do? How high and fast do you fly? Do you often operate where line of sight could be an issue? Remember that the 2020 ADS-B mandate is a separate issue that leaves you completely free to make decisions about cockpit weather. Whatever you choose, as thousands of pilots will attest, Datalink takes so much worry and uncertainty out of weather flying that you'll wonder how you ever got along without it.